Srimad Bhagavatam 5:18-19. Striyo vrataistva hrishikeshwaram svato hyaradhya loke patimasha satenyam tasam nate vai paripantyapatyam priyam dhanayom shiyato svatantra. Striyah, all women, vrataihi, by observing fasting and other vows. Tva, you, Hrishikeshwaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Master of the senses, Svatah, of your own accord. He, certainly, Aradhya, worshipping, Loke, in this world, Patim, a husband, Ashasate, ask for, Anyam, another, Tasam, of all those women, Na, not, Te, the husbands, Vai, indeed, Paripanti, able to protect, Apatyam, not Apatyam, Apatyam, the children, Priyam, very dear, Dhana, the wealth, Ayumshi, or the duration of life, Yatah, because, Asvatantraha, dependent. You know this word Panti, where you find? Pashyanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti. Panti means to maintain or to protect. Paripanti, able to protect. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: My dear Lord, you are certainly the fully independent master of all the senses. You can close the door. Therefore, all women who worship you by strictly observing vows because they wish to acquire a husband to satisfy their senses are surely under illusion. They do not know that such a husband cannot actually give protection to them or their children, nor can he protect their wealth or duration of life, for he himself is dependent on time, fruitive results, and the modes of nature, which are all subordinate to you. Please repeat. My dear Lord, you are certainly the fully independent master of all the senses. Therefore, all women who worship you by strictly observing vows because they wish to acquire a husband to satisfy their senses are surely under illusion. They do not know that such a husband cannot actually give protection to them or their children, nor can he protect their wealth or duration of life, for he himself is dependent on time, fruitive results, and the modes of nature, which are all subordinate to you. Purport. In this verse, Lakshmi Devi, Rama, shows compassion toward women who worship the Lord for the benediction of possessing a good husband. Although such women desire to be happy with children, wealth, a long duration of life, and everything dear to them, they cannot possibly do so. In the material world, a so-called husband is dependent on the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of a woman whose husband, being dependent on the result of his own fruitive actions, cannot maintain his wife, her children, her wealth, or her duration of life. Therefore, factually, the only real husband of all women is Krishna, the Supreme Husband. Because the gopis were liberated souls, they understood this fact. Is the door locked? No, what you do is you lock it, but not, you know what I'm saying? You get the bolt out. No. Yeah. Okay. Therefore, factually, the only real husband of all women is Krishna, the Supreme Husband. Because the gopis were liberated souls, they understood this fact. Therefore, they rejected their material husbands and accepted Krishna as their real husband. Krishna is the real husband not only of the gopis but of every living entity. Everyone should perfectly understand that Krishna is the real husband of all living entities who are described in the Bhagavad Gita as Prakriti, female, not Purusha, male. In Bhagavad Gita 10:12, only Krishna is addressed as Purusha. Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. You are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the supreme abode and purifier, the absolute truth, and the eternal divine person. You are the primal God, transcendental and original, and you are the unborn and all-pervading beauty. Krishna is the original Purusha, and the living entities are Prakriti. I don't want talking. Did you hear? Thus, Krishna is the enjoyer, and all living entities are meant to be enjoyed by him. Therefore, any woman who seeks a material husband for her protection, or any man who desires to become the husband of a woman, is under illusion. To become a husband means to maintain a wife and children nicely by supplying wealth and security. However, a material husband cannot possibly do this, for he is dependent on his karma. Karmana daivanetrena. Srimad Bhagavatam 3:31-1. His circumstances are determined by his past fruitive activities. Therefore, if one proudly thinks he can protect his wife, he is under illusion. Krishna is the only husband, and therefore the relationship between a husband and wife in this material world cannot be absolute. Because we have the desire to marry, Krishna mercifully allows the so-called husband to possess a wife and the wife to possess a so-called husband for mutual satisfaction. In the Ishopanishad it is said, Tena tyaktena bhunjitha, mantra 1. The Lord provides everyone with his quota. Actually, however, every living entity is Prakriti or female, and Krishna is the only husband. Ekale Ishwar Krishna ar sabhritya jare jaiche nachaye se taiche kare nritya. Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 5.142. Krishna is the original master or husband of everyone, and all other living entities, having taken the form of so-called husbands or wives, are dancing according to his desire. A so-called husband may unite with his wife for sense gratification, but his senses are conducted by Hrishikesha, the master of the senses, who is therefore the actual husband. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. This is a very interesting and very important verse. So Lakshmi Devi in the, what is that Varsha this is? Before Ramyaka Varsha. What is this Varsha? Ketumala Varsha. So here he is known as Kamadeva Swarupena Lakshmyaha Priyachakirshaya. So he is in the form of Kamadeva, he is worshipped. And if we see the mantra, it is the Rishikeshaya. Where is that mantra? Tad bhagavato mayamayam rupam parama samadhi yogena ramadevi samvatsarasya ratrishu prajapater duhitribhir upetah su chatad bhartribhir upaste idam chodaharati. So every night and day, actually here it is said, the way it is said here, accompanied during the daytime by the sons of the Prajapati, the predominating deities of the days, and accompanied at nights by his daughters, the deities of the nights, Lakshmi Devi worships the Lord during the period known as the Samvatsara in his most merciful form as Kamadeva. That means what? Every day and night she is worshipping of her life throughout the year without stopping. So this is called Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Throughout the day and throughout the night. Dhyayams tuvam stasya yashastri sandhyam. So we say these things. In fact, Nectar of Instruction, verse 8 also says, Anudinam means this. Tannama rupa charitadi sukirtananusmrityoh kramena rasana manasi niyojya tishthan vrajetadανuragi jananugami kalam nayedakilamityupadesha saram. Anuragi jananugami kalam nayed akhilam iti upadesha saram. Actually, Anudinam is the previous verse. In this one, there is kalam nayed akhilam iti upadesha saram. Time nayed should utilize, kalam time nayed should utilize, akhilam full iti upadesha saram. Upadesha saram is actually, that means the essence of all advice is that one should utilize one's full time, 24 hours a day, means day and night. It's like Ratri and Ahasu and Ratrishu, days and nights. Lakshmi Devi is doing that. How to use? In nicely chanting, Sukirtana. Nicely chanting means attentively chanting and absorbed in the meaning of the chanting. That's why the Vaishnava songs of the Acharyas are actually expansions of the Mahamantra. They are the moods in which the Mahamantra is to be chanted. So there are many songs that are there, and each of them are the moods in which the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is to be chanted. That's what it means. All these songs are expansions of the Mahamantra. So we should be conscious of these things as we are chanting, and also not only while chanting, but also all the time. We should introspect and reflect on these things. In nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging one's tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside in Vraja, Golok Vrindavan Dham, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of the Lord's beloved devotees who are deeply attached to his devotional service. Anuragi Jananugami. Tad Anuragi Jananugami. Anuragi means one who is deeply attached to Krishna. And Tad Anuragi Jana means those who are deeply attached to Krishna. And Anugami means to follow in their footsteps. Anugamanam. So, Kalam Nayet Akhilam Ityupadeshasaram. Every single moment must be used in this way. So, Lakshmi Devi is doing that. So, if we go back, I don't know. Okay. Let's go back there. So, if we 5:18:18. So, here in this verse, which was the other day, it is said, see, in this verse there are Bija mantras and then Rishikesha. Om Hram Hrim Hrum Om Namo Bhagavate Hrishikeshaya Sarvaguna Visheshair. See? Hrishikeshaya. Sarvaguna Visheshair Vilakshitatmane Akutinam Chittinam Chetasam Visheshanam Chadhipataye Shodashakalaya Chando Mayayanna Mayayamrita Mayaya Sarvamayaya Sahase Ojase Balaya Kantaya Kamaya Namaste Ubhayatra Bhuyat. So, these are the seeds of the mantra Hram Hrim Hrum, and then chanted for a successful result. Then Om Namo Bhagavate Hrishikeshaya. So, Kamadeva is Hrishikesha, and there is very beautiful, we'll go. So, today's verse, she's saying, Striyo Vrataistva Hrishikeshwaram Svato. Again, Hrishikesha. Yaradhya loke patimasha satenyam. Tasam natevai paripantya patyam priyam dhanayum shiyato svatantraha. So here, Lakshmi Devi is condemning the material husbands. And she's also saying that the women who worship the Lord for a husband are under illusion. They do not know that such a husband cannot actually give protection to them or their children, nor can he protect their wealth or duration of life, for he himself is dependent on time, fruitive results, and modes of nature, which are all subordinate to you. So in the purport, Prabhupada says that actually, you see, Krishna is the only husband, and therefore the relationship between a husband and wife in this material world cannot be absolute. Because we have the desire to marry, Krishna mercifully allows the so-called husband to possess a wife and the wife to possess a so-called husband for mutual satisfaction. Now, this is the actual position that the soul, being Prakriti, female, and Krishna is called male, Purusha, Adipurusha, Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. He is the original male. We are all fake males. In fact, in this material world, the Prakriti, all the living entities are female because they are to be enjoyed by the Lord. Female means to be enjoyed. Male means the enjoyer. So we are actually Prakriti and female, therefore, to be enjoyed by Krishna. But in this material world, whether male or female body, we all are having the male mentality. We want to imitate the original male, Krishna. We want to be the enjoyers. The woman or the man in the relationship wants to be the enjoyer. So this is like the transgenderism that we see is actually originating from originally here. Our separation from Krishna, and then we want to be the male, although we are female. And then we are having the male mentality, although we are female. And then in this world, the so-called husband and wife, both are actually female, but they're getting into a relationship. So it's never going to be actual happiness. It's like lesbians in this material world. Everybody is in any relationship are actually lesbians in the transcendental terminology. If we see, because they both are female and then they're getting together, so it's actually lesbian relationship. So that we have to understand that Krishna has given a concession. Marriage is a concession that, okay, you know what, you're not interested in me. Whatever you're doing is illegal, illicit here. But let me make some of those things legal by putting a Vedas and, okay, you can get together, but then, focus on me. But we have the audacity now to judge Krishna from this lens and say, oh, he's dancing with other people's wives. And then they accuse Krishna that he has given up moral principles, morality. With the Rasa Leela, he actually introduced the supreme morality. He introduced the supreme morality that he alone is the husband of everyone, not the so-called husbands. The so-called husbands are actually having illicit relationships with their wives because the wives are meant for Krishna's relationship. And they themselves are meant for Krishna's relationship. So here every relationship is illicit, but Krishna, it's like, for example, we call some activities as punya, some as papa, some pious, some impious. But actually all are impious. Anything other than devotional service is actually impious. But Krishna has been kind to us that he says, okay, you know what, you do in this way, then you will become a little pious, better than before, less impious actually. That's why I made a TikTok that time during the COVID time. 50 Shades of Grey. Controversial movie. But the so-called piety in this world, it's actually how black it is. That's all. It's never actually fully white. Like the pollution, they say, oh, green, let's go green, electric. No, that's not green. It's still, from black, it became a little bit gray. A little less gray and less gray. These are different shades of gray. But it's all still gray. It's not white. It's not pure. It's not amala. So even a desire to become a demigod, although it is considered as one of the pious activities to go to the heavenly planets, Swarga Prapti, it's actually not. It's just lighter than the dark gray or black smoke of the vehicles. So similarly, all the sinful activity, all activities in this material world are sinful. Because actually punya, although we say punya, the real meaning of punya is what? Original, 7-9. See, here, Bhagavad Gita, punyo gandhaha prithivyam cha. Krishna says, I am the original fragrance of the earth. See, purport, Prabhupada says, punya means that which is not decomposed. Punya is original. Now, in our original consciousness, we are Swarupena Nitya Kṛṣṇa dāsa, Jivar Swarup hoy. So that is pure, undecomposed or composed consciousness. When it becomes decomposed, then it becomes materialistic consciousness. That is called kamam. So we descend from prema to kama stage. So that is no more punya anymore. It's not original. It's decomposed. How much it is decomposed, that is a different matter. So, Sattvagun, Rajogun, and Tamogun, all are decomposed positions only. But stages of decomposition, like when the food starts to go bad, you can slightly, taste something a little bit sour, or some smell will come slightly. You put it another 10 hours, horrible smell will come out. 20 or 24 hours, it will be horrible. So the decomposition goes bad and bad and bad, worse. So punya actually means original. So if we see from this lens of the definition of punya, nothing is punya in this material world. Everything is papa. Everything is papa. And that is a fact. Anything other than Krishna's service is sinful. Now, to regulate such sinful activities, to again bring us back to the punya stage, Krishna has mercifully given some directions in the Vedic literature. Okay, you're not interested in me, you're interested in enjoying yourselves. Okay, you do it in a regulated way, and in that you know, this is called dharma viruddha kamosmi bharatarshabha. Kama, which is not against religious principles. That is the representation of Krishna. So Krishna has introduced that for our, purification. Otherwise, this is actually illicit. Now, if we judge Krishna from this point, that, oh, there is this rule, but Krishna is dancing with other people, how come this? No, he is actually owner of everybody. He is the husband of everyone. So therefore, Srimati Radharani and the gopis, they show the highest level of devotion by accepting Krishna as the only husband. And it's very interesting. So in the Brahma Samhita, okay, the language is a bit difficult. It requires some okay, no, 5.3 actually. So the Golok Vrindavan is like a lotus flower. Okay, in the 5.3 it is said here, Karnikaram Mahadyantram Shatkonam Vajrakilakam Shadanga Shatpadi Sthanam Prakritya Purushena Cha Premananda Mahananda Rasenavasthitam Hiyat Jyoti Rupena Manuna Kama Bijena Sangatam. So this Kama Bijena Sangatam. In fact, if you know those who are doing deity worship, every mantra for Krishna is always preceded, the Bija mantra is Kleem. That Kleem is Kama Bija. So here he explains Kama Bijena with the Kama Bija, Kleem. So all these Gayatri mantras have Bijas, the seeds of the mantras. Kama Bijena. So this, just now that other verse we saw Om Hram Hrim Hrum. That is also Bija mantra. So Hrishikesha, because it is Hrishikesha, therefore the beginning of that word, the syllable, Hram Hrim Hrum. So for example, Narsimhaya, Shraum. Shraum is the Bija mantra for Narsimha. So Kleem is the Kama Bija. And for Krishna is always, and even Vishnu is Kleem. Especially Krishna. So here anyway, 5.3, the wall of the transcendental lotus is the realm wherein dwells Krishna. It is a hexagonal figure, yantra, Shatkona yantra, the abode of the indwelling predominated and the predominating aspect of the absolute, Radha and Krishna. Predominated is Radharani, predominating is the Krishna. Like a diamond, the central supporting figure of self-luminous Krishna stands as the transcendental source of all potencies. The holy name, consisting of 18 transcendental letters, is manifested in a hexagonal figure with sixfold divisions. This is the sixth Gayatri that we chant in our Gayatri mantra. Klim Krishna Govinda Gopijan Vallabhaya Swaha. So that mantra is the 18 transcendental letters. Now, 527 of this Brahma Samhita. Very interesting. You see the origin of the Brahma Samhita. We will find here actually. Why that whole Govindamadi Purusha Stotram? How it started. Actually, the thing is just 2 verses before that. Yeah, Brahma Samhita. अथ वेणु निनादस्य त्रयी मूर्तिमयी गतिः स्फुरन्ती प्रविवेशाशु मुखाब्जानि स्वयंभुवः गायत्रीं गायतस्तस्माद् अधिगत्य सरोजजः संस्कृतश्चादिगुरुणा द्विजताम् अगमत् ततः. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaye. The Lord Brahma was instructed through the heart by the Supreme Lord. Now here is the description how it happened. Then Gayatri, mother of the Vedas, being made manifest, that is imparted by the divine sound of the flute of Sri Krishna, entered into the lotus mouth of Brahma, born from himself, the self-born Brahma, through his 8 ear holes. So he heard the flute of Krishna, sound of flute of Krishna, and then it manifested in his mouth as the Gayatri mantra, which is the mother of the Vedas. And there are Gayatri mantra, usually we know the Surya Gayatri mantra, which is chanted everywhere as a musical entertainment. But there are many Gayatri mantra, and the highest Gayatri is the Kama Gayatri, which is the 7th Gayatri we chant. Which actually Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned in this purport. The lotus-born Brahma, having received the Gayatri sprung from the flute song of Sri Krishna, attained the status of twice-born, having been initiated by the supreme primal preceptor, Godhead himself. So you see, when the gopis were attracted in the dead of night by Krishna's flute, it is not some romantic, lusty affair, but they were being initiated by the sound of Krishna's flute, which is the source of Gayatri and all the Vedas and everything. So they are not bereft of the knowledge of the Vedas. It looks like, they are just village girls getting attracted. No, they are fully aware. The transcendental sound of Krishna's flute is the source of all knowledge. Whether he plays on the flute or whether he speaks on the battlefield with Arjuna, it's always full of knowledge. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa means what? Ananda Chinmaya Rasa or Chidananda, Sachidananda means everything about him is knowledge. Whether he is playing the flute or whether he is dressing himself, whether he is smiling, it is full of knowledge. Whether he is speaking, not only when he is speaking, it is full of knowledge. That is what we can appreciate as knowledge. But actually, everything in the spiritual world is full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. Everything. That is the meaning of Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. So his Ras Leela is also full of Ananda Chinmaya. So here in the purport, you see the sound of Krishna's flute is a transcendental blissful sound, hence the archetype of all Veda is present in it. The Gayatri is Vedic rhythm. It contains a brief meditation and prayer. Kama Gayatri is the highest of all the Gayatris because the meditation and prayer contained in it are full of the perfect transcendental sportive activities which are not to be found in any other Gayatri. The Gayatri that is attained as the sequel of the 18-lettered mantra is Kama Gayatri. The sequel, the 6th one is the 18-lettered one, 18 syllables, and the sequel is the Kama Gayatri, the last one, which runs thus: Klim Kamadevaya Vidmahe Pushpabana Dhimahe Tanno Nanga Prachodayat. So usually this mantra is never revealed to anybody other than second initiated. But Bhaktisiddhanta actually put it in the purport there. But this has to be chanted only after initiation. Otherwise, it will have no Sampradaya Vihinaya Mantrasta Nishphalamata. That's why in the second initiation, the Gayatri tape is heard by the initiates, Prabhupada's tape. Only then one should start chanting this. In this Gayatri, the realization of the transcendental pastimes of Sri Gopijana Vallabha, after perfect meditation and the prayer for the attainment of the transcendental God of love are indicated. In the spiritual world, there is no better mode of endeavor for securing the super excellent rasa bedored love. As soon as that Gayatri entered into the ear holes of Brahma, hey, stop talking. Hey, Haribol, stop talking. Don't talk in the class. Who taught you these things? Huh? Don't talk in the class. Understand? How many times I have to tell you these things? As soon as that Gayatri entered into the ear holes of Brahma, he became the twice born and began to chant the Gayatri. Whoever has received the same Gayatri in reality has attained his spiritual rebirth. The status of a twice born that is obtained in accordance with one's worldly natures. This is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is separating. The status of a twice born that is obtained in accordance with one's worldly nature and lineage by the fettered souls in this mundane world is far inferior to that of the twice born who obtains admission into the transcendental world. Because the initiation or acquisition of transcendental birth as a result of spiritual initiation is the highest of glories in as much as the jiva is thereby enabled to attain to the transcendental realm. So, in Smarta Vidhi, there is sometimes some spiritual master. But the highest spiritual master, actually this is also explained here, 1080-32, I think. Savai satkarmanam sakshat dvijateriha sambhavah adyonga yatha shraminam yathaham jnanado guruhu. My dear friend, he who gives a person his physical birth is his first spiritual master. And he who initiates him as a twice born Brahmana and engages him in religious duties is indeed more directly his spiritual master. But the person who bestows transcendental knowledge upon the members of all the spiritual orders of society is one's ultimate spiritual master. Indeed, he is as good as my own self. So this is a demarcation of father and, hereditary spiritual master and the actual bona fide transcendental spiritual master. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is demarcating between these two spiritual masters who are conventional spiritual master and the bona fide spiritual master. Now, going back, if you see, because he received Krishna's flute sound and it transformed into all the Gayatris, culminating in Kama Gayatri, which reveals the ultimate Raslila of Krishna, and which is therefore imbued with all understanding of Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojana. Because Raslila means everybody is a female, Krishna is the only male, and dancing with him to his tune is the ultimate purpose of all jivas, and that is to the perfection attained by the gopis. Once that is done, then Traya prabuddhotha vidhir vigyata tattvasagaraha tushtava vedasarena shrotrena anena keshavam. See, this verse is just before the Chintamani prakarusad masukalpa vriksha. So this is just before that. What is said? Enlightened by the recollection of that Gayatri, embodying the three Vedas, Brahma became acquainted with the expanse of the ocean of truth. Then he worshipped Sri Krishna, the essence of all Vedas, with this hymn. That's when the Govinda Adipurusha Sutra starts. Then, you see, every last line is Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. This line is straight coming from the Kama Gayatri, right? Because he is the only Adipurusha, everybody else is Prakriti. He is the original enjoyer. So that's why he is emphasizing this every single verse of that stotra, this hymn. Govindam Adipurusham. And then here he said, Lakshmi, what is that? Lakshmi Sahasra Shatasambhrama Sevyamanam. Lakshmi is millions and trillions of them are serving him with great reverence. And Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham, his beauty is unequal, unrivaled by millions and billions of cupids. So that is again from Kama Gayatri. And then from there, he expands everything. So all these verses are coming from the Kama Gayatri. So this is the expansion of the meditation of that Gayatri. and which is the expansion, which is actually the transformation of Krishna's flute sound. So therefore, you see how it transformed from Krishna's flute to the Gayatri, culminating in Kama Gayatri, and then expanding from Brahma's mouth in these prayers. So all the Vedas are emanating from this understanding. Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana are the source, are actually the ultimate subject matter of the Vedas. In fact, Vedas are all meant to explain that. So all of them are coming from the Kamadeva, who is Krishna, who is Rishikesha. And in the purport, Prabhupada explains that although, you see, in the last part of the purport, if you notice, you see, a so-called husband may unite with his wife for sense gratification, but his senses are conducted by Rishikesha, the master of the senses, who is therefore the actual husband. Although a wife may be enjoyed by the husband, but actually she is enjoyed by Krishna, but ultimately Krishna. But because we are unaware of this, we get entangled in lusty affairs in this material world. And therefore it is condemned. In fact, the following verses also, she establishes the point that only Krishna is the ultimate husband of everyone. Nobody actually, because here today's verse, the last word is called Asvatantra. He is not independent. He is not Swatantra. So how can he actually protect anyone? Right? Asvatantraha. He is completely dependent on what? On Krishna, yes. But on the sub-potencies of Krishna, which are see, Natevai Paripanti Apatyam. He is unable to protect his children or wife, Priyam. Dhana Ayomshi Yata Asvatantra. You see. Such a husband cannot actually give protection to them or their children, nor can he protect their wealth or duration of life, for he himself is dependent on time, fruitive results, and the modes of nature, which are all subordinate to you. So, a husband is supposed to protect the wife, but he himself is completely under the control of these things. How can he actually protect? So, therefore, then what is the meaning of then husband and wife? Then what is the protection that the husband should give? The only protection is to point to Krishna. Guide the wife to Krishna. Guide the children to Krishna. That's why it is said, what is that? Guru na sasyat, svajano na sasyat. Not this. 5:18. Gururna sasyat, svajano na sasyat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, daivam na tatsyan, na patischa sasyan, namo chayedya samapeta mrityum. One who cannot deliver his dependence. So you see, dependence. That means the person who is protecting must be independent. They are his dependents, but he is also dependent on someone, ultimately. So that's Asvatantra. One who cannot deliver his dependence from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, relative, father, husband, mother, or worshipable demigod, or even king. Because he should be, in fact, king is called Naradeva. Because he is the representative of Deva among the Naras, among the humanity. He should be representative. He should transparent via medium. He should be. He should teach the people how to approach Krishna. Then he is actually Ashraya Tattva. Guru is called Ashraya Tattva. You know, Ashrita Ashraya Vigraham. Ashrita Tattva and Ashraya Tattva. Ashrita means one who takes shelter. Ashraya means he who is the shelter of others. So Kamadeva is the shelter of others. Like in the previous verse 5:18-18, it is explained how he maintains everyone. Right? Wednesday we saw. See the translation. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hrishikesha, the controller of all my senses and the origin of everything. As the Supreme Master of all bodily, mental, and intellectual activities, he is the only enjoyer of their results. The 5 sense objects and 11 senses, including the mind, are his partial manifestations. He supplies all the necessities of life, which are his energy, and thus non-different from him. And he is the cause of everyone's bodily and mental prowess, which is also non-different from him. Indeed, he is the husband and provider of necessities for all living entities. The purpose of all the Vedas is to worship him. Therefore, let us all offer him our respectful obeisances. May he always be favorable toward us in this life and the next. So usually it's understood that the husband should bring the necessities for the family, like food, shelter, and everything, for the wife and children. But where is this concept coming from? It's coming from this original idea that Krishna is the husband of everyone. He is providing the necessities for everyone. Nowadays, the asvatantra nature of the husband is so visible that even in material transactions, the husband is unable to provide completely for the family. Wife is also working, children also working. Somehow they have to work. But at least when society was more stable, man used to work, which is becoming much and much lesser nowadays. And it's also, of course, bringing a lot of social problems because of extramarital affairs in the workplace and unnecessary things. But that aside, they're unable to fully provide for their family, and which is why they're trying all kinds of contraceptive methods to reduce their children so that they don't have to work hard to provide, because of being asvatantra and because of the ugra karma of the Kali Yuga. They are doing their so-called family planning in this way. Family killing. So, but anyway, Kamadeva means this, that he is the original husband of everyone and he provides for everyone. And our kama, our lust in this material world will be finished if we actually approach the real Kamadeva, Krishna, which is explained Vikriditam vrajavadubhiratam cha Vishnoh Shraddhanvito nushrunuyad atha varnayedyah Bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya kamam hridrogamashvapahinotyā chirena dhīra. Anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus, he will quickly become sober and conquer lust, the disease of the heart. From today's verse, we can understand how this is all possible, because otherwise seems like ordinary lusty affairs. But how come they can remove the lust of the heart, the disease of the heart? It's because the Lord is actually the Hrishikesha, and so because what is Ras Leela? It is to actually unconditional surrender and cooperation in the enjoyment of Krishna for his satisfaction. That is actually Ras Leela. So to make people understand the stage at which Ras Leela is performed, the 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam were written to prime the reader to get to the point of understanding that Krishna is the all in all. And then only the Ras Leela was introduced as the highest pastime. So if we don't understand him as the Hrishikesha, and if we don't understand him as the provider of all necessities and the fulfiller of all desires, Govindam means what? The giver of pleasure to the senses. Govindam Adi Purusham is same as Kamadeva, because he is the Lord who satisfies all the desires. Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha. We chant. Why? Because the Guru is taking us to the Krishna and all one's desires are fulfilled. Because actually one's real desire is to become happy. And all the other things in this material world, even Ashtasiddhi, everything is automatically achieved by the devotee. In fact, in the pastime of Narad Muni, we see that in his previous life, as he was advancing, he said that in the course of becoming a devotee, one will be awarded the 8 mystic perfections as well. And only if he is completely unattracted by them can he achieve pure devotional service. There are so many tests that will come our way in the shape of temptations, frustrations, and temptation. This is called kankshati and shochati and lamentations. So there will be tests in all these things. That is why it is said. Is this the one? Yeah. Shoka, moha, bhaya. Fear. All kinds of tests will be there. Yasyam vai shruyamanayam Krishne paramapurushe bhaktirutpadyate pumsaha shoka moha bhayapaha. Simply by one's giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, Bhagavatam, specifically Bhagavatam, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. So in all these departments, there will be tests. Because we have to conquer all the 6 enemies, right? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. In all these fields, we will be tested. Temptations, frustrations, lamentations, fears, illusions. We will be bombarded with all these things in the course of our advancement. So, one of the temptations is even until the point of the 8 mystic perfections, which is the highest attainment in this material world. Don't put your hand in the mouth. Go and wash. Go and wash. You should not put your hand in the mouth. Go. The wash basin here. Simply by one's giving all reception. So this is the thing. Here, there's a wash basin here. Okay? So we have to be very careful when we are even in devotional service. There are so many upashakha. What are these upashakhas? You see, these are the tests. 19159, right? Nishiddhachar, kutinati, jivahimsana, labha, puja, pratisthadi, jata, upashakha gan. Pratishtha, adi. There are more. These are just some of them are mentioned. What are they? Some unnecessary creepers growing with the bhakti creeper are the creepers of behavior unacceptable for those trying to attain perfection. Diplomatic behavior, animal killing. Actually, animal killing is not the full definition of Jivahimsa, no? Which Prabhupada explains in the 12.135. Jivahimsa means, the ultimate definition of Jivahimsa means to not allow souls to advance in devotional service in their natural progression towards Krishna consciousness. Animal killing is one of the many Jivahimsana, which is also not allowing them to progress, because the soul cannot be killed, so why it is actually sinful? Because we make so much about either abortion or killing of the animals, but the soul cannot be killed anyway. That's the first lesson in Bhagavad Gita. So why are these sinful then? The sin is because we are checking their natural progress of evolution of consciousness of that soul, and that is actually what is sinful. So that is real himsa. So animal killing is one of the definitions of Jiva Himsa. Then mundane profiteering, mundane adoration, and mundane importance. All these are unwanted creepers. So these are all tests, temptations, frustrations, lamentations. Na shochati na kankshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu, then mad bhakti labhate param. Then only we will be given the gift of love of Godhead. After we have passed all these tests, shokam, moha, bhaya, apaha. So for that, we have to catch hold of Krishna very tightly. Abhaya charanāravindare, bhajahure mana, Shri Nandanandana. Bhajahure mana. Mana should be involved, mind should be involved in all our bhajan, in all our devotional service. We should not just do it out of, there is, devotional service also can be many classes, right? So there is this nice verse which can be applied for many different contexts. Wait. In 1844. See. Uttamas-chintitam kuriyat proktakari tu madhyamaha adhamo shraddhaya kuriyat akartocharitam pituhu. Translation: a son who acts by anticipating what his father wants him to do is first class. That means before his father says anything, he already does it. He anticipates what the father wants. He does it. He is first class. One who acts upon receiving his father's order is second class. His father's order, father orders, and then that is second class. And one who executes his father's order irreverently means without reverence, without respect. He said this, okay, I'll do this. That is third class. But a son who refuses his father's order is like his father's tool. So even when we are becoming a devotee, we should be manaha, bhajahure mana, Sri Nandananda. So our mind must be there. If our mind is not there, then it's irreverent devotional service. Sannikarshotra martyanam anadarana karanam. No? Because devotional service has come to our laps, has fallen on our laps somehow or other by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we take it for granted sometimes. In fact, most of the time. Sannikarshotra martyanam anadarana karanam. This anadrita yushmadangrayaha, which is, we always chant for the impersonalists, right? Aruhya Kṛṣṇa parampadam tataha patantyadho anadrita yushmadangraya. This anadrita is not only for impersonalists. As long as we don't have adarana, we will fall down. If we don't have regard for Krishna's lotus feet, if we are irreverent in our devotional service, we will fall down. So, Sannikarshotra martyanam anadarana karanam. He gives us the gift of devotional service, so it is achieved after so much test. So, but we have got it somehow or other by the mercy of the Guru and Krishna. But then because we are unfortunate, durdaivam idrisha mihajani nanuraga. There is no anuraga. Because durdaivam, because of misfortune. Out of fortune we have received devotional service, but out of our misfortune we don't have any attraction for it. Anuraga. Na anuraga. So, this Sannikarshotra martyanam, in this world, familiarity breeds contempt. For example, one who lives on the banks of the Ganga might travel to some other body of water to be purified. Gangam hitva yathanyam bhas tatratyo yati shuddhyate. So, for example, another Sannikarsha is what we do every day. What we do every day, the songs that we sing, and all the daily routine. The reason why they are established as daily routines by the spiritual master is because of the importance of it. If we just meditate on the importance of these things, we will actually not fall down. But the problem is, because we're doing it every day, Sannikarsha, we become familiar with the things and we don't even pay attention. Adarana is not there. Adara is not there. Huh? Yeah, proximity breeds contempt. So, because of being proximal, every day we chant. That's why I did the strengthening foundations for this reason, that series. So that we actually understand what we are even singing, what we are chanting. If the Vaishnava songs that we sing before Bhagavatam class, the Vaishnava songs that we sing, we should actually put some effort in understanding the language. Otherwise, there is a lot of disconnect. When we are chanting, we are just chanting in a tune. It's just sounds only. I many times said it's just sound. It's just some melodious sound. It is not Vaishnava song. And nicely found one conversation of Prabhupada that, what is that? Namakshar bahir hoy, nam nahi hoy. Because I always said this many times in English, but the words, actual words for, you see this. So Prabhupada is saying here, this is when? 1977, February 25th. Yes, prema pumartho mahan, that is wanted. There is one word by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, namakshar bahir hoy, nam nahi hoy. Simply the alphabets are coming, but that is not nam. When we say Hare Krishna, and we do it anadrita, that's actually only namakshara. Namakshara is only bahir hoy. Only the namakshara is coming out. The alphabets of the holy name are coming out, but it's not the holy name. Because people ask this question, that day also Mataji asked this question, Palika Mataji, that even that, who's Rajeshwari Mataji asked this question, right, in the Sunday class, that we are chanting holy name and holy name is perfect, liberated and pure and everything, but why are we not getting that love of Godhead? Because if the holy name is so powerful, it doesn't depend on the chanter, then why is it not having the effect? Well, what is actually the holy name? And what is only the imitation of the holy name? So when it is chanted with full adharana, then Krishna is, because where is Krishna? Yatra gayanti mad bhakta tatra tishthaminad. Where they're actually glorifying him. If in the mind we are not glorifying Krishna, if our body is working. Similarly, when we say bhajahure mana Sri Nandananda, the mana must bhaja, must engage in the devotional service. Maya arpitam mano buddhir. Otherwise, externally we can do everything. Just like namakshara bahir hoy here, then we can also say Krishna cheshta bahir hoy. That's it. If we are doing anything for Krishna, suppose I'm doing arti for Krishna, but I'm thinking of some Miss Arti somewhere. That is, like many people say Prabhupada said this, he's chanting Radhe Radhe, but he's thinking of the Radha, neighbor Radha. So this is what, my mind is somewhere else in lusty affairs, and I'm just saying a woman's name, but actually anything material. That's why when we are doing arati, any service, our mind must be there. That is what is devotional service. Our mind must be there. It does not matter what we are doing, but our mind must be there. Even for example, sweeping the floor. Can't we think of all because sweeping the floor means what? Gundicha Marjan, that whole Leela was how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu connected it to the sweeping of our mind and heart, and how to keep the dust far away. Not only sweep, but also mop, and also keep the dust far away so that it doesn't re-enter again. How much philosophy there is for sweeping and mopping. So when we are sweeping and mopping, if we can remember all those instructions, like when we are cooking for Krishna, if we remember all the pastimes of the Lord's cooking and the potency of Krishna Prasadam and how Krishna purifies us even. So if we just meditate, mind must be there and attentive, of course, to detail, but to be conscious of all these higher aspects, deeper aspects of what we are doing, externally, then there will be that is proper meditation. Kalam nayed akhilam iti upadesha saram. All our waking and even sleeping hours should be employed in Krishna's service. So here, let's read this conversation, very important. Simply the alphabets are coming, but that is not Nama. Namakshar, Hare Krishna, the alphabets are coming out, but it is not the holy name. Rameshwar says, suppose someone says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given freely this holy name with no rules and regulations, but simply, and Brahmananda says, we wanted to make a distinction that a non-devotee chanting is different from when a pure devotee chants. Rameshwar, so that distinction should be there. Prabhupada, yes. We were thinking that somehow this magazine, and Prabhupada, no, another thing, it is aparad. Namno baladyasya papa buddhi. Unless he is in the process, he will think, I am chanting Hare Krishna mantra, so whatever sinful activities I am doing, it will be controlled. And that is the worst offense, Brahmananda says. Prabhupada, yes, that is a very bad offense. Harishori. So we are actually advertising the process of devotional service, not just simply haphazard chanting. This haphazard chanting is not what we are promoting. Prabhupada says, first of all, we are chanting just to make him little attracted. Ado Shraddha. Just to popularize it. Yes, that's it. Then if the heart is a little cleansed, then they will understand. It will be effective. But when it is done properly, it will give real effect. Outsider, those who are chanting, we don't discourage him. They must know this, but they must know the signs also. You see? It's not that they only chant and keep on chanting. They must know the signs, even as devotees. That's why the reading of the books is important. We must know the signs. Then only we'll actually... Otherwise, Namakshar Bahiruha like this. Only sound coming out, but... will be a disturbance. What is it called? Utpata eva kalpate. Shruti Smriti Puranadi. You see, without Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim Vina Aikantik Harer Bhaktir Utpata eva kalpate. If we just do bhakti without understanding Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim Vina, because if we don't read the books, how will we do devotional service according to the books? Fourth offense, to blaspheme Vedic literature or literature and pursuance of the Vedic version. To not read them is also blasphemy, right? Books are there, but I'm not reading. Acharya has written, day and night, with so much difficulty has written. I'm not reading. Krishna has given us through the Acharya, through so much hard work went into it for our deliverance. We are not interested. Is that not offense? That is offense. So even by not reading it is an offense, blasphemy. Because then we will not appreciate the Vedic literature, and when we don't read, we don't understand the significance of the holy name, we don't understand significance of sweeping and mopping, we don't understand significance of deity worship, we don't understand significance of devotees, prasadam, charanamrita, preaching, nothing we will understand if we don't read the books. Then only Namakshar will come out. Nam will not come out. Just like this Alice Coltrane, she has done her small part, Prabhupada is saying. She made this record album with Govind Jai Jai and Hare Krishna. Prabhupada, that will be a good thing, but when he does it properly, it will be more effective. Because if one does not chant in the process means in the proper process, then gradually it degrades. It degrades. The offense will increase, there is chance. So in the past, in the magazine, we have only shown people chanting if they were initiated devotees, shaven-headed, living in temple. And recently they have adopted to show people who have jobs outside the movement and they are not brahmachari or sannyasi, they are also chanting, to give the public the idea that... So the way devotees are portrayed in the magazine even, Back to Godhead magazine, that devotees, when they show devotees, they show him as shaven-headed and saffron cloth, sannyasis, brahmacharis, and even Matajis also all nicely. If you see Prabhupada time, they even put the veil. Even when they go out, some kirtan still they have. So when you see that, it's a different picture compared to if you show up some lady or guy chanting, but he's in an office suit and boot and everything, and some Western clothing and well, Yeah, he's chanting, but it does not give the same impression in the mind. The devotional impression is lessened. The representation is lessened, reduced, degraded. It does not give the same impression. So, but at the same time, gradually, if chanting is effective, then next we have to make it in the process. And Prabhupada gives an example, very nice example. So Prabhupada says, yes, that is the ultimate. That is stated by Rupa Goswami. Yena tena prakarena mana Krishna nivishayet sarve vidhi nishedhasur etayoreva kinkara. That somehow or other bring him to chant Krishna or to become little Krishna conscious. Then when he is little purified, then vidhi nishedha. He is not rejecting the vidhi nishedha. Vidhi nishedha means regulative principles. It is not rejected. But when he is a little purified, this vidhi nishedha sur etayoreva kinkara. Just like one, first of all, let him become rich, get some money, and then when he has got money, he can keep some servants, some assistants, secretaries, like that. First of all, earn money. The example is given here. So, but we must, because we have taken it a little more seriously than beginners, so we should go the distance. We should take it full seriousness, full earnestness. We have tried to dedicate our life. But you know what is dedication? It's not this color, saffron color. It is not shaven head. It is not this tulsi mala, tilak. These are not. These are symbolism, but they will have meaning only if we act for Krishna. Then only they will have meaning. In fact, this is said. This color cloth. What is the meaning of saffron color cloth? Sacrifice. Why? Yeah. What is the verse? Agni Parichadan. 7:12:21. Kesharoman Khashmashru Malani Jatilo Dadhat Kamandal Vajinedanda Valkagni Parichadan. Valkalagni Parichadan. Of course, according to the time, place, and circumstances, Prabhupada established a few of these rules which are suitable for this age. But you see, the Vanaprastha should wear matted locks of hair on his head and let his body, hair, nails, and mustache grow. He should not cleanse his body of dirt. He should not even take bath. But in other place, it is said he should take bath twice a day. But anyway, what is suitable for today's rules is, but my point is here, he should keep a water pot, deer skin, or rod and wear the bark of a tree as a covering and use garments colored like fire. He's very active during the Bhagavatam class. Agni Parichadan. So his garments colored like fire means, of course, we cannot sacrifice our body by putting in fire. But if the cloth is fire color, then it's reminding ourselves that this body is meant for Krishna. This body is meant for Krishna. I have sacrificed everything for Krishna's. So my senses, my body, everything should be used for Krishna's service. My ears, especially starts with hearing. Without proper hearing, chanting also cannot come out properly. We must hear, we must read. So, okay, this is getting late, but I just want to show some verses on the futility of material husband. Rukmini Devi is saying this. Tvakshmashru romanakhakesh apinadhamantar mamsasthi rakta krimivit kaphapittavatam जीवच्छवं भजति कान्तमतिर् विमूढा याते पदाब्जमकरन्दमजिघ्रति स्त्री. You see, जीवच्छवं भजति कान्तमतिर् विमूढा. A woman who fails to relish the fragrance of the honey of your lotus feet Krishna's lotus feet, becomes totally befooled, and thus she accepts as her husband or lover a living corpse covered with skin, whiskers, nails, head hair, and body hair, and filled with flesh, bones, blood, parasites, feces, mucus, bile, and air. So, you see how you see, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments as follows on this verse: on the authority of the statement, Savai Patih Syad Akuto Bhaya Swayam, which is tomorrow's verse, 5:18:20. He indeed should become one's husband who can remove all fear. Sri Krishna is real husband for all women at all times. Thus, a woman who worships someone else as her husband simply worships a dead body. So, this is also explained. 3:31:40. Yopayatash nairmaya yoshit deva vinirmita tamikshetatmano mrityum trinaih kopam ivavritam. The woman created by the Lord is the representation of Maya, and one who associates with such Maya by accepting services must certainly know that this is the way of death, just like a blind well covered with grass. Because what happens then? Yam manyate patim mohan manmayam rishabhayatim stritvam stri sangatah prapto vitta patyagriha pradam. A living entity who, as a result of attachment to a woman in his previous life, has been endowed with the form of a woman, foolishly looks upon Maya in the form of a man, her husband, as the bestower of wealth, progeny, house, and other material assets. Tamatmano vijaniyat patya grihatmakam daivopasaditam mrityum mrigayorgayanam yatha. A woman therefore should consider her husband, her house, and her children to be the arrangement of the external energy of the Lord for her death. Just as the sweet singing of the hunter is death for the deer. These are not words for the faint-hearted. But actually, this is the reality of the situation. Right? The arrangement of the external energy of the Lord for her death. Because in this attraction, she is just spending all her time and mind and everything and dies. Just as the sweet singing of the hunter is death for the deer. Then, 3:31:38 also. This is how for the man, the woman. Here for the woman, the husband is the Maya. But you see, for the man, the woman is Maya. Balam hi pashyam Maya Strimaya Jayino Disham Yakaroti Padakrantan Bhruvijrimbhena Kevalam. Bhruvijrimbhena Kevalam. Just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya in the shape of woman, who by the mere movement of her eyebrows can keep even the greatest conquerors of the world under her grip. Somebody is waking up now. One who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga, actually, please there. Sangam na kuriyat pramada sujato yogasya param paramaru rukshu mat sevaya pratilabdhatma labho vadantiya nirayadvaramasya. One who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga and has realized his self by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman, for such a woman is declared in the scripture to be the gateway to hell for the advancing devotee. Then all these verses. So, that's why we have to detach ourselves from the so-called husband and attach ourselves to Krishna, who is the real husband. Shriyah patir yajñapatir prajapatir dhiyam patir lokapatir dharapatih patir gatischandhaka vrishnisatvatam prasidatam me bhagavan satam patih. May Lord Krishna, may Lord Sri Krishna, who is the worshipable Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings like Andhaka and Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all sacrifices and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, the supreme all in all, be merciful upon me. So Kunti Devi is praying, Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi. दृढ़ं पाण्डुषु वृष्णिषु अथ विश्वेश विश्वात्मन विश्वमूर्ते स्वकेषु मे स्नेह पाशमिमं छिन्दी. O Lord of the universe, soul of the universe, O personality of the form of the universe, please therefore sever my tie of affection for my kinsmen, the Pandavas and the Vrishnis. So, sneha pasham, the affection for the family members and friends should be cut. That does not mean then we become unfavorable to them and become their enemies. Friendship or any relation through Krishna is actually real relationship. Only directly, then that is false relationship. Through Krishna is real relationship. So our attraction should be to Krishna. That's the whole point. Just, of course, we're going to cover these verses in the next few days, but I'll just go over the verses. See, savai patisyad akuto bhaya swayam samantatah pati bhayaturam janam sa eka eveta ratha mitho bhayam naivatma labhad adhimanyate param. Very nice verse. He alone who is never afraid, but who, on the contrary, gives complete shelter to all fearful persons, can actually become a husband and protector. Therefore, my Lord, you are the only husband and no one else can claim this position. If you were not the only husband, you would be afraid of others. Therefore, persons learned in all Vedic literature accept only your lordship as everyone's master, and they think no one else a better husband and protector than you. And the next verse also, and the next verse after that as well. Yatasya te pada saroruharhanam nikamayet sakhila kama lampata tadeva rasip sitimipsitorchito yad bhagnayatnya bhagavan pratapyate. My dear Lord, you automatically fulfill all the desires of a woman who worships your lotus feet in pure love. However, if a woman worships your lotus feet for a particular purpose, you also quickly fulfill her desires, but in the end she becomes broken-hearted and laments. Therefore, one need not worship your lotus feet for some material benefit. Then this famous verse, Mat praptaye jesha surasuradayas tapyanta ugram tapa aindriye dhiyah rite bhavat pada parayanannamam vindantyaham tvadhridayaya tojita. Very important purport also this has. O Supreme Unconquerable Lord, when they become absorbed in thoughts of material enjoyment, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva as well as other demigods and demons undergo severe penances and austerities to receive my benedictions, Lakshmi Devi is saying. But I do not favor anyone, however great he may be, unless he is always engaged in the service of your lotus feet. Because I always keep you within my heart, I cannot favor anyone but a devotee. So this is Lakshmi's, and this is the last one. O infallible one, your lotus palm is the source of all benediction. Therefore, your pure devotees worship it, and you very mercifully place your hand on their heads. I wish that you may also place your hand on my head, for although you already bear my insignia of golden streaks on your chest, I regard this honor as merely a kind of false prestige for me. You show your real mercy to your devotees, not to me. Of course, you are the supreme absolute controller and no one can understand your motives. See how humble she is. Because the Shri or Lakshmi is actually on the chest of the Lord in the golden belt form. But she says that is only for my prestige. It only increases my prestige only. But your real benediction is your hands who which you place on your devotees' heads. So please, they are actually your, what is this? You show your real mercy to your devotees, not to me. So she is considering herself inferior in all humility. So she's asking that he place his hand on her head also. So in this way, the Lord is to be understood as the supreme husband of everyone and supreme protector. And yeah, we actually forgot this verse, no? Because nobody can protect, right? बालस्य नेह शरणं पितरौ नरसिंह नार्तस्य चागदमुदन्वतिमज्जतो नौ तप्तस्य तत्प्रतिविधिर्य इहाञ्जश्रेष्ठस्तावद्विभो तनुभृतां त्वदुपेक्षितानाम्. My Lord Narasimhadev, O Supreme, because of a bodily conception of life, embodied souls neglected and not cared for by you cannot do anything for their betterment. Whatever remedies they accept, although perhaps temporarily beneficial, are certainly impermanent. For example, a father and mother cannot protect their child. A physician and medicine cannot relieve a suffering patient, and a boat on the ocean cannot protect a drowning man. Now we may say, but that doesn't make sense. If you bring a boat to a drowning man, it certainly helps. If a medicine is given, certainly he gets cured. Mother and father protect the child in so many ways. Otherwise, the child would have been dead on day one if the mother did not give her milk. Or dead even before birth by abortion. So, I mean, they protect. How can you say not protect? Yes, but only as secondary instruments of protection. It's actually the Lord who is protecting. The father and mother only are instruments. And therefore the Lord, you see the way he protects is he induces affection in the heart of the parents. Otherwise, why would the mother spend 24 hours taking care of the child, not getting paid, nothing? Whom else she will serve like that? She will not serve anyone like that, not even the husband. She wants some rest. But with the child, she cannot say rest. From cleaning the stool to feeding him to bathing him to, withstand all the tantrums and everything. And you can't even tell him, can't reason out with the child. Unreasonable. So actually, it's a lot of pain. But the mother is able to. The mother actually gets affection. Of course, sometimes it's also stressful, but the mother will not let go. Will fight. You can see even in the animal kingdom. There are so many examples where there was one video, like many videos are there. Very weak animal, for example, cheetah and lion. Cheetah is no match for a lion. Speed, yes. Strength, no. Not at all. Cheetah is a very flimsy animal compared to the lion. One smack on the face, the jaw will get displaced, the head will come out. That kind of strength the lion has. And there was this video where this cheetah was there, mother cheetah, with 3 cubs. And right across, I think maybe a few hundred meters away, but plain field, grassy field, was this lioness. Lioness, it's not even a male lion. If a male lion, it will be even more. Male lions are much stronger than females. But even a lioness is too much for a cheetah to handle. Far more powerful. So the lioness saw this cheetah. This cheetah otherwise would have run that direction. But this cheetah, what she did? She ran towards the lioness. Only for one reason. Because she did not want the lioness to get to the cubs. So she wanted to distract the lioness. She will come as close to the lion so that she will not die. Until that distance only. Not that too close to the lion. Come to the lion so that as to induce the lion to come towards her. And then she did not run fast. Because cheetah can run very, very fast. But this cheetah did not run fast. It just, cubs were here, then the cheetah went this way, and then slowly getting the lion out of the danger zone for the cubs. They will even fight leopards, so many times. The weaker animal fights like anything with the stronger animal when the cubs are there. When the cub is not there, nowhere to be seen. It will run as fast as she can in the opposite direction. So, mothers will even risk their lives to protect the child. This is because Krishna induces in them affection for the child. The child, when he comes out, because he has to come out of the birth canal of the mother, the head has to be bigger than the shoulders. Otherwise, the head will come out, shoulder will get stuck. How the child will come out? So that's why the head is very big. But it also serves the other purpose. When it comes out, it looks very cute. Because a big head and like a lollipop. So that's why even in India they test the child. Sometimes they make the parents want the child to finish education faster. So everybody finishes at 17 or 21 degree. They want them to finish at 20 or 19 if possible. So they try to cheat the age. They try to get the child admitted earlier. But the one test they do, the teachers, they make the child like this, touch the ear, the other ear. Only 5-year-old child can do that. Below 5 years, he cannot do. So by that they know whether they're 5 years old or not. You are lying. 4-year-old you're bringing here. So those sometimes not only for education, sometimes tickets also they will say free for until 5 years old or something. My child is 4 years old, they will say. Then they will check, oh, you are 5-year-old, you're lying. So like this they do sometimes. So the proportions change as the child grows. But in that moment, in that stage of life, his proportions are different. It serves, and the broken language. Actually, he is not making any point. If a grown adult behaves like this, you will not want to have him around anywhere. But a child, everything he does is cute. Even his, make no sense, but it's cute. So that's how Krishna made the elders protect the child out of this affection. So he induces the affection. So Krishna is actually the protector. The father and mother are not. But he induces them and then thus he protects. But if he chooses to not protect, then even the father and mother cannot do anything. They could not even actually provide anything for the child. They could only do so because Krishna allowed them to do. And Krishna allowed certain quota for the child. Okay, this much enjoyment, this much comfort, this much luxury he will enjoy, whatever. Or this much he will not enjoy. He will actually suffer even in his childhood, whatever. So in this way, even the boat, yes, it will save a drowning man. But Krishna has to arrange certain boat to come to a drowning man, right? Sometimes it is out of pure chance and accident. They don't even, plan on doing it. But a boat is just there at the right time. So these are all Krishna's arrangements without our planning. So without our planning, good things can happen. Without our planning, bad things can happen. But this is the other distraction with Grahastha life. And children are there, mother, even if you want to sit down in the class, very difficult. Okay, so we'll end here. Any questions or comments? First time. Why we are called What? Kṛṣṇa. No, Krisham. Krishi means farmer, farming. So why he also is called that? Why I don't know. There's a Bij mantra. Rishikesha is Harim. Hram, Harim, Hrum. Prahlada also is Pram Prahlada. Usually the first syllable. But Shram, maybe the fearful aspect of the Lord. I don't know. So actually, another final point, sorry, is Kamadeva, this Cupid. Actually, every demigod is like this. Is actually an imitation of the Vishnu form. So there is a Cupid in this material world, but the original Cupid is the Lord. So all the demigods actually are like this. Even Ganesh, um, everyone is the original prototype is that Vishnu form, and the demigods are actually only. So in that way, the Kamadeva is actually eternal. Vishnu Kamadeva is eternal. Like for Ganesh also, they always say Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyaya Sarva Vignopashanta. In the whole mantra, there is no mention of Ganesh or Vigna. Vishnum. Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum. So Vishnu, actually it is Vishnu. So the original Ganesh, the original Kamadeva, original all these names are eternal. So every time there is a creation, the demigods are created in that name, but the original name always exists, even before the demigod came into being. Because here Krishna is real Kamadeva, right? So like that. Okay, I'll stop here. Grantaraj, yeah. Hmm?
Women's liberation.
Hmm.
The verse is showing the words that you should have affection more for Krishna instead of our own husband. Then you were telling the verse, this 331 42, that Krishna has given us so external energies arrangement for the women, the husband and the children and house. And then just now you were saying that Krishna also gives the attachment, the affection for the child for the mother. So if the mother is engaged in all these things, then how she will get her affection for Krishna or the attachment for them? She's only engaged in all these things.
Yeah. So for a woman to, not only for the woman, for the man as well, he's also attached to his family affairs. That's why we have to hear. That's the question, no? Yudhishthir Maharaj asked Narada Muni, famous 7:14. 1 is the question, 7:14. 2 is the answer. So that the woman must get married and be protected is the secondary dharma. The primary is actually to become a devotee, because even many married women are there. Where are they becoming devotees? He doesn't like it at all. Name is Bhagavat, but Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired from Narad Muni, "O my lord, O great sage, kindly explain how we are staying at home, how we who are staying at home without knowledge of the goal of life may also easily attain liberation according to the instructions of the Vedas." Well, Narad Muni explains, Sri Narado Vacha, Griheshu avasthito rajan kriyaha kurvan yathochitaha Vasudevarpanam sakshad upasitam mahan munin. Upasitam mahamunin. My dear king, Narada Muni replied, those who stay at home as householders must act to earn their livelihood, and instead of trying to enjoy the results of their work themselves, they should offer these results to Krishna, Vasudeva. How to satisfy Vasudeva in this life can be perfectly understood through the association of great devotees of the Lord. Then, third and fourth verses, I'll just read the English. A grahastha must associate again and again with saintly persons, and with great respect, he must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Lord and his incarnations. As these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus, one should gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. So this is the point. Hearing. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, 13:26, Anyetvevam ajanantah Shrutvanyebhya upasate tepi chatitaranteva mrityum shrutiparayanaha. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. So hearing. is very important. That's the only way out. Otherwise, none of these things. All the other things are actually regulations, but the rules, vidhi and nishedh, right? So, family situation, all these are regulations for kama, for example, but they are not themselves the givers of liberation. The giver of liberation is the hearing process, hearing, chanting, this process, Bhagavad Dharma. So, that has to be, well, we have to spend our time in that.
Women can get liberation in this very life if they are following Krishna consciousness, that they have to take another birth and
No, Krishna says they can. What is that? माम हि पार्थ व्यपाश्रित्य येऽपि स्युः पापयोनयः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्तथा शूद्रास्तेऽपि यान्ति परां गतिम्. Those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas and Shudras can attain the supreme destination. So, there is no bar in that. But of course, it is like this. It is definitely a Papa Yoni, how to say, lower birth. So they have longer height to climb. But they can climb. If they take to Krishna consciousness seriously, that's all that matters. Otherwise, the man also cannot go back to Godhead if he is not Krishna conscious. But if Krishna conscious, anybody can go. But the thing is, because women are generally in the mode of passion and ignorance, they are not, they're hardly in Sattvagun. So that's the problem. For them to always combat that mode of passion and ignorance is the trouble. But if they take to devotional service seriously, yeah, anybody can conquer this. But we should not be lax. Oh, yeah, women also can go, yeah, okay. No. It's not easy. Because it's not easy even for the greatest of brahmacharis living in the tapoloka, satyaloka. They are also finding it hard to concentrate their mind on Krishna. The unadulterated brahmacharis, prihadvratas, they are also finding it hard. They have given up every other engagement just to focus on the Lord. Even then it is difficult for them. Imagine. There's so much distraction. How can we? So we should never take this lightly that, oh, women also can go back. Yes, can go back. Technically, yes. Prabhupada said 1 minute. Under what conditions 1 minute? Otherwise, Bahujanma Karajati Shravanaka, millions of birds who can come and chant, initiated and reinitiated every time. Nothing will work. It all depends on how. It's like Prabhupada said, fire, we can definitely cook in fire. Right? But if the fire is on the ground and the pot is like 10 meters above, how to cook? I'm not near the fire. So how close we will be with the fire? And while being close, if I complain that it's too hot, then I'll go away from the fire. I cannot cook again. Because when we come in the association of devotees, we need to get cooked. Otherwise, bhajan apakvota patheta toyadi. If apakva, uncooked devotee, that means not pakka, kacha. Kacha devotee can fall down. If you want to become pakka devotee, that means cooked, well cooked. Then fire will be there. If I say fire is hot, too hot, if I am too near the devotees, I'll go away, then I will not be cooked. So I should stay near the fire to be cooked. So it's like that. So we will be tested a lot when we are with the devotees. We will not be tested as much because we will be soaked in Maya at that time if we are away from devotees. But when we are with devotees, then we are always checked. And always we are forced to introspect, forced to, But if we see that as a constraint or as a limiting thing, that, oh, I'm judged. For example, if I'm away alone, I won't be judged much. If I'm eating in McDonald's, if I'm just with karmis, nobody will judge me. Oh, he's just buying. Nobody even pays attention. But if a devotee sees me eating in McDonald's, hey, what is this? How can? It will become a world news. Same thing. So we are watched, we are judged. When you are in the association of devotees, this is all that happens. We are always constantly on watch. or we are watched upon. So this is actually good for us because this is protection for us. It is actually protection for us. If there is nobody to check, nobody to, no checks and balances, that's how I drift away. So it is good that I have these things. It's good that I am kept on the edge of my seat all the time. It's good. We should welcome it. We should become comfortable in discomfort. Then, yes, we will grow. Otherwise, no growth happens in the comfort zone. Right? It only happens in the discomfort zone. Yeah. That's it. Okay. I'll end it here. Kṛṣṇa Srimad, what is this? Shuklavastram asibindu jaiche nalukayak sannyasira alpa chidra sarvaloke gaya. Rajikishore Prabhu was saying. That's the thing. Shuklavastram asibindu jaiche nalukaya sannyasira alpa chidra sarvaloke gaya. This is what happens when we are with the devotees. Every small thing will be magnified. Because that will enable us to introspect even deeply, right? If it's big, then we will actually put attention to introspect it. If it is small, if we think it is small, and nobody pays attention to it, I will also not pay attention to it. So let me pay attention to it. It's good only. So that this is the translation. As soon as general public finds a little fault in the behavior of a sannyasi, they advertise it like wildfire. A black spot of ink cannot be hidden on a white cloth. It is always very prominent. So alright, I'll stop it here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.